side. Boston going to work. Scores off the backboard. 4 seconds to go. Boston to Hull. Left wing. Fires a three. Good! Hull heads with .3 to go in the third. Woo!
Danielle, it's been a couple weeks since we've had a podcast, and UConn has had 4 games since our last podcast, a couple of road games or home games where there wasn't a lot to talk about, blowouts, and a couple of road games after that that were pretty tough.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily like the prettiest UConn basketball the last 2 games, but the good news is Blanca's back.
Yeah, Blanca's back. I think Sarah is getting healthier. She missed one of the games. I think it was the
I think
Creighton
AZ's
game.
been sick also, so
I think Sarah Williams has been sick, I believe, and I want to talk more about her later. But yeah, so the first 2 games, I think February 7th, we did a podcast, but the game was after our podcast. Easily beat Butler in a home game, 80-48. Not a lot to talk about there. Just I did look at the box score. Um, just 5 players in double figures, pretty even scoring. Nobody had a huge game, but just a pretty big win. And then Creighton, I believe, is the game.
Bell had 20 against Creighton, so it's nice to see. It feels like kind of, I don't know when it started exactly, but maybe in January, it feels like Allie's been playing with a lot of confidence, and she obviously had the game with the 10 3-pointers, but it feels like she's in a good spot where she can contribute when she comes in.
Yeah, that's huge for them. It was actually the Butler game that Sarah Strong missed. So,
Okay.
yeah, but 2 easy home wins, 80-48 over Butler, 94-44 over Creighton in the game that Sarah came back. But then kind of a struggle in these last 2 games, February 14th against Marquette, and then just Wednesday night at Villanova. Both
Yeah.
games were tough, close games.
Yeah, was it Villanova that they trailed at the first and the second for the first time all season?
Yeah, Villanova's first time they've trailed at halftime all season.
Yeah.
So
But Villanova was the one where there were just a lot of turnovers. And yeah, the first time they played Villanova, they were turning them over a lot, I think the commentators said like 36 points and points off turnovers, but they weren't getting those easy points off turnovers. And Blanca, it's her first game back, and she comes in and, she has a couple turnovers. I thought the travel call on her was pretty questionable, but um, she is still, gonna take a while to get back into the swing of things from 3 weeks out.
yeah, I definitely think she was showing a little bit of rest. I didn't agree with the travel call either, but both teams in that game had a lot of turnovers, but both teams shot well, actually.
Yeah.
And
But Villanova, they were like blocking. I don't know how many blocks they ended up with. Let me see. It's only 7,
it
but
felt
they all
like
felt
more.
pretty impactful.
It felt like a lot
They
more,
were just,
yeah.
it felt like they were really kind of stifling defensively and rebounding well and blocking a lot of shots. But it's nice, like both of those games felt like a little bit hard, not the greatest, but Sarah Strong and AZ in both of those games really played well and scored quite a bit. So in against Marquette, they only scored 71 as a team, which has to be one of their lowest scoring marks of the season. But Sarah had 22 points and AZ had 25 points. So that's good news that your 2 big stars are going to produce when you need it. And then against Villanova, Sarah had 21 and AZ had 25 again. So
Yeah, I mean, it seems like those are the two that come through when they really need them in close
Mhm.
games, and they get more minutes also in these games. So, AZ played 36 minutes. Ashland played well against Villanova the other night. She had 37 minutes, 13
Mhm.
points. But I think against Creighton, Sarah and AZ were the only two in double figures, and
Okay, yeah.
that's not good. And, you know, Villanova, Ashland joined them, so they had 3 players
Or
in double
against
figures.
Marquette, do you mean? Or
Yeah,
um
against Marquette. What did I say?
okay.
Yeah, against
Yeah,
Marquette, only two of them
KK
had.
ended up with 10, but
Oh, did she?
barely.
Okay. Yeah.
Um
So it's like there's a little bit of a struggle, and I want to talk about a couple of things that I've observed. One is rebounding. I think was a struggle in both of those games.
Yeah.
And Marquette out rebounded UConn 42 to 29.
Yeah.
Um, and then in the Villanova game Wednesday night, UConn ended up with a 32 to 30 rebounding advantage. But I my recollection is that at halftime the announcer said that Villanova had more rebounds and at least more offensive rebounds for sure. And it just felt like in the first and second quarters, Villanova was just playing harder and going after
Yes.
harder than
Yeah, I
UConn
thought
was.
they looked really good. And the announcers, I think, even said, like, this looks like a tournament team. They should be, hopefully, they'll get a spot.
Yeah. So, two road games, but in the end, you know, they pull out the wins, both by double
Mhm.
figures, which feels like a struggle this year for UConn to only win by 15 or 14 or whatever,
Right.
but
Yeah.
in the end, you win on double figures on the road. Those are
Yeah.
good wins.
Yes. And it's nice. I mean, you would like to be playing better, but to have kind of some grind out wins is not bad for them when all they have is Big East games left. So, not a bad thing. Part of the rebounding, too, is probably that Gino loves his 4 or 5 guard lineups. And so, like, they don't always have a size advantage, even against Big East teams when they're playing 4 or 5 guards.
Yeah, that's definitely an issue. And usually they shoot so well. Like UConn's not going to get very many offensive rebounds because they're shooting so
Right.
well.
Yeah.
But I think I wanted to talk a little bit about Sarah Williams.
Hmm.
And I looked up the stats and we talked about this a little bit, but her minutes are dwindling, and I think she's been sick also. Like I know she was sick in the one game. Was it I don't remember which game when Sarah threw
Yeah.
up, and
Yep.
I think that same game Sarah Williams also ran off the court, and it looked like she may have ran off the court to throw up
Hmm.
somewhere, and so there's definitely been some kind of bug going through the team. And but her minutes for the past four games, 21 minutes against Butler, 19 against Creighton, and in the two close games, only 10 against Marquette and only 12 against Villanova. And
Yeah.
then Jana's minutes have gone 20 minutes, 16, 16, and 13. So she's actually playing like over the past four games, not a ton. It's really pretty evenly distributed between the two of them. But over those four games, Sarah has only 13 rebounds. Sarah Williams has 13 rebounds, and Jana has 24 rebounds in those four games. And my theory that I suggested to you is that I think Gino's a little bit frustrated that Sarah's not Williams isn't getting more rebounds while she's out there. And
Yeah.
I think maybe it's not just illness, and maybe it is illness too. But I hope that if it's illness, she gets healthy quickly. I think they're going to need her playing really well in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the better teams are big and play very physically, and they're going to need Sarah Williams to be big and strong. And Jana comes in and is not afraid to mix it up, which is great to have her. Uh, you can always fall back on Jana, who was the starting center on a national championship team last year. So,
Hmm.
I think you can count on her to provide defense and toughness and rebounding. And clearly,
Yeah.
she's been rebounding better than Sarah Williams has lately.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to say with Sarah, like Sarah Williams. Her shooting, her field goal percentage is better than it was last year, but she's taking a third of the attempts. Last year she took 15 shots per game. This year she's only getting 5. But she only shot 49% last year. This year she's shooting almost 40 or 58% from the floor. So some of it is probably the like change in roles, but she's playing about 14 minutes fewer per game, but getting less than half the rebounds she got last year. So yeah, different role, but like rebounding is kind of the main thing we need her to do. Like we don't really need that much scoring from her. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like lately been playing her in the high post, which also maybe impacts her rebounding
yeah,
ability. And I like her in the high post because I don't think she's a great offensive player in the low
yeah,
post. I think she's great in the high post though.
yeah,
I mean, I think she's a great offensive player in the high post. She has great court vision for a big. She's a very willing and good passer. And Sarah Strong is a much better low post player. She's the far and away the best post player, offensive post player on the team. She's the best rebounder on the team. She's got the best footwork. She's got the best hands. I mean, I like her in the low post and Sarah Williams in the high post. Or Sarah Strong you can always go four out and one in with Sarah on the court, with Sarah Williams or Jana. Jana's not as good in the high post as Sarah Williams. But Jana's tough. She'll get in there and scrap and rebound and
Hmm.
I'm not afraid to mix up. So it was just an interesting observation to me. And again, how much of his illness, I don't know. But I think they're going to need both of the Sarah and Jana to be playing really well once they get to the Sweet 16 round
Yeah.
against the better teams. They're going to have
Yeah.
bigger players who are good. And, UConn, we feel like UConn doesn't get the best whistle. So I'm sure, when they play bigs, if they have to play Betts, if they have to play Oklahoma with Beers. South Carolina's got a couple bigs who are physical. Texas has a big who's really physical. Once they start playing those teams, they're going to need all 10 of those fouls out of that position, I
Yeah.
think.
Although, if you remember how good Jana was against Betts last year in the Final Four, I mean, Betts still ended up with probably 20 points, but Jana came out and like set the tone and was really, really good on her last year.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, so it's great that they have them both. I just hope
Yeah.
if Sarah Williams if it's health, I hope she gets well. And,
Mhm.
if that's why her minutes are down, that's kind of best. I hope she's not in the doghouse with Gino, I
Yeah,
guess is what
yeah.
I'm saying. I don't want her to be sick, but if it's just a cold, she'll get better and, you know, things will recover.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
any other thoughts on UConn?
Well, just a few stats, just overall on this season. For the season, they are number two in scoring. And who do you think would be number one overall in scoring points per game?
LSU, probably.
Yeah. That
They have that
preseason
such a
really.
cupcake schedule in the pre-conference. Yeah.
Yeah. So LSU is averaging 95 a game, and then UConn's number two at 89. But UConn is leading the nation in field goal percentage at 52.9. The next highest is
Wow.
UCLA at 51.8, and then South Carolina 51.2, LSU 51, Texas 49.8. So the top five are pretty much the top five. And then actually Iowa's next, and then Iowa State two later. And but then for threes, UConn's also leading the nation in threes, shooting
Wow.
40.4%. And the next highest is 38.7 for Gonzaga. But UCLA is the fifth, is kind of the only, it's like Gonzaga, Boise State, and then Fairfield. But then UCLA is number five, shooting 37.9. South Carolina shooting 37.7, and IU
Wow.
37.6.
Well, you got the Tessa Johnson effect with South Carolina. She's a great shooter. I really
Yeah.
love her game. And then you got the Shay Ciezki effect
Yeah.
on
And speaking of
IU.
Shay, AZ has passed her. So AZ is now number one in the country for three-point shooting at 447
Okay.
even. And then Shay is number two at 46.6.
Well, I mean, that's phenomenal. And we've talked about Shay a lot, as the lone bright point for the Hoosiers this season. But to be able to shoot that well as really the main focal point of the offense and then the defense knows that. And with Big Z out for most of the season, really, she's missed more games than
Mhm.
she's played, I feel like, especially in the Big Ten, if not overall. Every defense is going to be just pointed at stopping Shea, whereas AZ's got Sarah Strong, he's the best player in the country,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
not to, we all know AZ's a great shooter, so not taking anything away from
Right.
shooting 40% from threes, phenomenal, and she takes
47, yeah.
47, and but for Shea to be shooting 46
It's
with her surrounding cast
but
is
also the overall is maybe more impressive. She's shooting 54.2 overall, and then
yeah
her free throw is 90.7. AZ is 95 from the line, and she's just under for the overall 49.7, but hopefully she can get
okay
that up by the end of the season.
yeah. So just then Sarah, I was just pulling up her stats here. So I think
Hmm.
she's 59.5 from
Hmm.
field goal right now.
Hopefully she
She's
can
back
get
to
that up.
40 for three,
Hmm.
and she's down to 89.2 on free throws.
Yeah,
So she's hovering. I mean, she's
she's right
89.2
there.
and 59 point
I think
59.5, you could round up to 60 if you want to be
mhm,
generous. So she's right
yeah,
there. It's 60-40, so close.
very close. The free throws are probably going to be the hard one. If she just gets is she going to get enough free throws to push it over?
Yeah,
She
because she
can't
doesn't get
miss
to shoot a
anymore.
lot. Yeah. So, yeah, so shout out to Shay Ciezki, though. I mean, you know, AZ leading the country in three-point shooting percentage is not a surprise. I don't think anybody would be surprised by that. She's an all-time great shooter. But
Hmm.
Shay, what a season she's put together. Again,
Yeah,
I hope she can make all Big Ten first team with the season she's had. It's going to be rough with how bad IU's record
right.
is. I don't, but
But
I
I
think she
mean,
deserves it.
every coach in the Big Ten is like, we got it. All right, here's the plan, guard Shay. And then she
Yeah.
drops
So
25 on 50, 40, 90 on them. So
yeah. So hopefully she'll get that recognition because yeah,
yeah,
shout out to Shay. What a phenomenal season.
yeah.
It's great. So the only other thing I want to talk about on was the bracketology.
Hmm.
Some, I mean, this is all just speculation. Nobody really knows at this point.
Yeah.
But
And the SEC tournament is, I think, going to be the main deciding factor in where how things shake
come
out.
seeding, yeah. But right now, the latest is UConn as number one overall seed, UCLA as the number two overall seed. Um, and then I don't know if Texas or South Carolina, do you remember how that was?
I think South Carolina is right now. They actually, I want to say they left Vanderbilt at 4, even though Vanderbilt lost.
Hmm.
But Vanderbilt is currently ranked 5 with Texas at 4. But I think the
Yeah.
bracketology left Vanderbilt at 4, but said they probably lost the top seed with that
Yeah, I
loss.
think, well, I've got an updated one I just pulled up. It was
Okay.
updated yesterday,
Okay.
and they got Texas as the fourth one seed now.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense to me. Unless I mean, it'll depend on how the rest of the SEC season goes. If Vanderbilt can
yeah.
go undefeated, but I think they still have to play South Carolina, and then it's going to be
Hmm.
tough to get through the tournament without picking up another loss.
Yeah, so according to the ESPN bracketology, this would be our best case scenario. They've got UConn playing in the Fort Worth region, and they've got South Carolina playing in the Fort Worth region.
Yeah.
So that would be optimal for us. We'd rather see them, South Carolina here than Texas for
Yep.
sure. Um, but what do you think about UConn's bracket? They still have LSU as the two seed in UConn's bracket.
No, thank you. I don't want to see that. Let's give us Michigan
Yeah, I
or
mean, I'm
Louisville.
surprised. And they've got Vanderbilt as the two seed in UCLA. I mean, again, ESPN's not, this is just ESPN, right?
Right.
I mean, I would have a hard disagree with, I mean, Vanderbilt's got to be, if Texas is the fourth one seed, Vanderbilt's got to be the best two seed right now, right? I mean,
Yeah. It's probably because they, in theory, try not to have conference matchups, except last year when they were like, oh, let's have USC and UCLA on the same side and Texas and South Carolina on the same side, even though USC had a better resume than Texas. Um,
but it would be, by the time of the Elite Eight, you can't take that into consideration. Early rounds, I agree with trying to do that,
yeah,
but you can't do that at the Elite Eight level.
yeah.
The top eight teams, you just got to rank them. And Vanderbilt is surely the strongest two seed. They have Louisville as South Carolina's two.
And
I mean,
that's crazy. South Carolina gets some cakewalks.
I mean,
I
if
feel
they
like the
get,
last 3 or 4 years they've had a cakewalk to the Final Four.
yeah, I mean, I can't believe that's going to end up being accurate. I mean, so UCLA has Vanderbilt, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And
Texas gets Michigan.
Texas gets Michigan in ESPN's
Michigan can't
latest
score against
bracketology.
Texas.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't think Michigan's the fifth best team in the country. Why
No,
would they be in Texas's bracket? I mean, this bracketology is not good. Whoever did this
no.
for ESPN, I mean, the top four seeds. I mean, I can't argue with that. If Texas is
No,
the fourth
that's
one seed,
yeah, that's right, I think.
that's fair.
I mean, they could lose it still. There's time left to go, but
Yeah. I mean,
I
the
think for now
SEC's a
they
gauntlet
beat
this year.
UC. They're the only team who's beaten UCLA this year.
Yeah.
So
Yep. But I mean, the SEC's a gauntlet this year,
it
and you've
is.
got a lot of good with Vanderbilt coming up and being so strong. You've
Even
got
Kentucky's really high. Ole Miss is high this year.
yeah. I mean, the SEC is loaded this year.
Yeah,
They're far and away the best conference. I mean,
yeah,
the Big Ten is top heavy. They've got maybe three top 10 teams with UCLA, Michigan, and Ohio State. But
Hmm.
with Iowa having injuries, the Big Ten's kind of fallen
Yeah, and
off,
Juju
and Juju being out. Yeah, I mean, USC would be a top 10 team. I mean, Big
easily,
Ten would have four top 10 teams if Juju was healthy.
easily. They would have two top four teams again.
Yeah, so I mean, that Juju's injury hurts the Big Ten strength for sure. But the SEC, I mean, you got to hand it to them. They've got a great conference this year. That's a brutal schedule those teams have to play. But yeah, I think the one seeds are right in this newly updated bracketology, but I think the two seeds are off.
Hmm.
All right, well, Danielle, I think that's it for college basketball. And UConn and IU both play tomorrow, so go Huskies and go Hoosiers. But we're going to try something different with this podcast. We're going to separate, try to do two separate podcasts, and we're going to do it at the same time, but just publish them as separate podcasts for the college hoops and for the WNBA hoops podcast. So, yeah, for the W Hoops podcast today, everyone, please be sure to subscribe and leave a comment or a review, and we'll see you next week.